Hey watchdogs! Punchmade Dev recently published a song called Wire Fraud Tutorial, and today I'm gonna give you all my 2 cents on what he's talking about. We're gonna see if he's really about it, or if he's just saying a bunch of big words.
Listen up, I'm finna show y'all how to hit a bank. Just pay attention, this a quick way to jug in any state. First you wanna get a bank log from a trusted site. Do your research because the information must be right.
So far, he said that he wants you guys to get a bank login from a website, likely from the dark web. Now, getting somebody's login is pretty hard, but if you go to the right forums, Dread, Breach Forum, Bohemia, Kingdom Market, stuff like that, then you can ask somebody for the hookup or see what folks are offering. But I'm just gonna have to let you know right here, right now, you will really have to come out of pocket if you plan on doing that. I'm talking $300 per password. It's mostly overpriced because hackers did so much work to hack these big banks. They do not want to risk selling it for a low price, attracting somebody who's gonna F up their operation. Especially when there's already been sites like Monopoly Market that's been raided by the FBI. Now that list of websites I gave you, they're really up or down, so your mileage may vary. But those are good places to start on the dark web if you're interested in something like this.
Do they got Verizon or they work for Sprint? You gotta know that if you wanna hit this lick, you gotta call up to the company and SIM swap that bitch so you can get the phone calls and text message that they get.
I'll pause here because he said a lot, but he also did not say anything, right? He basically defined SIM swapping and why you'll need it, but he didn't tell you how to do it. So I'll just refer you to the video I already have on SIM swapping, but for those who don't know and don't want to watch, I'll just tell you, it's basically when you call up a phone company and get them to switch phone service from your victim's device to your device. That way you get all their text messages and all their calls. But in order to do this, Punchmade is definitely right. You gotta know what companies they phone with, and you basically have to pretend to be this person so that Sprint or Verizon or whoever thinks that you are who you say you are and not some fraud. Then once you get that phone service onto your phone, you're able to get the passcode the bank sends out when you're trying to log in. He's talking about getting past that two-factor authentication so that you can move on to the next stage. And I guess we'll see what he means in a second.
You need that so you can log in with the code. But before you do that, make sure that you don't do this wrong. Now let me find out that your dumbass tried to log in through the phone.
Yeah, don't log in through a phone. Banks and police, they can track everything you do once you're in the banking system. I mean, I'm talking phone numbers, device, SIM cards, fingerprints, face, location. Do not use a phone.
You gotta change the location into their home. For that, you're gonna need an RDP server. It should come with their IP. You gotta plug it in the server. This might be a little hard, but it's hard being a worker.
He is literally telling you guys everything. That's probably why the feds low-key was like, take the video down. But yeah, he's right. If you use a phone or any device on you that you really own, you risk giving away your location. So he's telling you to just use your victim's crib as the location, which makes sense already because you already are using their bank login and their phone number. But he says to do this, at least his way, you're gonna need an RDP server.
For that, you're gonna need an RDP server. It should come with their IP. You gotta plug it in the server.
For those who don't know, an RDP server is just a remote device. So how you control a TV with a remote, you can also control another computer with a remote, but you don't even have to be there. Now I heard software like Apache, free RDP, is supposed to be like a good system to use if you're gonna scam, but however good they are, police can still track down exactly where direction is coming from. So it's not like you're necessarily anonymous. Getting the system's not even the hard part. The hardest part is about installing it into the victim's real computer. I'll wrap this up, but to effectively use the RDP system, you gotta get somebody near the computer to install it. So you're gonna have to either get next to the computer for at least a moment just so you can do it. And you can do this probably by busting up in the victim's house, but now that's breaking and entering and I don't know how many charges you want. Or you can probably call the victim and pretend to be Microsoft, giving them instruction on how to do something. Whatever you do, the victim or their family is now on edge knowing that they're a target. At that point, once they realize that they're a potential target, they're just gonna call police and police might just set up a sting. So my advice, don't use an RDP server, don't scam, but if you wanna be like Punchmade, free country, do what you want.
Now you need a runner you can wire all the money to. Make sure you break them off a good amount. They gon' want money too.
To be honest, it's kind of hard to get a runner, and I'll tell you why. Your runner is basically your accomplice. They're the person who's essentially taking the fall for you because it's going to be their name that's going to be on all the bank documents. They're going to help you do the scam, so you really need to pay them. Now, runners usually get a big chunk of the play because without them, you're absolutely on the hook. I mean, whatever mess you were involved in is so much more likely to be discoverable and attached to you. With a runner, however, you are distancing yourself from the crime, but you're also tying them to the crime, and they're not even the mastermind. So yeah, a runner is definitely expensive and you're gonna have to pay up, sometimes up to 50% of the total scam amount, because they're taking a crazy risk for you for a crime that they'll definitely be investigated for.
Now it's time for you to wipe down all the money that they made. Go and send the wire out, send it straight to the runner's bank. If you did everything right, then it's gonna be a piece of cake.
And this is why the runner is so important. The runner helps you money launder. You send the money from the victim's account to the runner, making it look like the runner benefited from the scam. This is gonna make police think that your runner was the person who stole the money when they didn't even do anything yet. You're the one who hacked everything. You're the one with the wire, but your runner is about to be the main suspect, mostly because they were the recipient of that wire. Runners really get the short end of the stick here. Anybody worth their salt knows this. So odds are you're gonna have to get someone a little naive or someone who just don't care to help you. You might try to get somebody with their guard down to help out, right? Maybe you could find a sugar baby, send them the wire and tell them to make the withdrawal and give some back to you. Or you might be able to find a college student who's looking for a job. Just make them believe that you're doing this wire stuff for work and get them to give the money to you. But like Punchmade said, you gotta break them off a piece too, because if you don't, they'll be so much more likely to snitch. Like, once investigators get them into an interrogation room and explain what's happened, folks, they get scared, they get offended, and they'll just talk like they're in therapy. So you definitely want to pay up because they'll be more likely to keep their mouth shut.
Have the runner go inside, tell him withdraw all the pay. If it's a big play, have somebody wait outside the bank.
Once the runner gets the money from the wire you sent, they gotta go in and withdraw the money, and they gotta do it quick, or else the feds, they'll place a hold on the money, or the victim's bank might try to request it back. You really gotta watch your step because it all comes to a head right here. Remember earlier how I said that the victim might know you're onto them, get the cops involved, and the cops might set up a sting? Well, if they set up a sting, now's the time when you find out, okay? They'll be ready with a takedown for you and your accomplice with SWAT, special forces. I mean, it depends on how much money's at play here, but they're definitely gonna bring their toughest team to take you down and bring you in, which is like reason number one why you would want to stay in the car. Because at least if you're in the car, you might be able to make a run for it, but now we're talking about a high-speed chase, and that's another charge, and I don't know nothing about that. So, but hopefully you don't want to scam anyway, and you're just here for investigative purposes in the first place. So those were basically the lyrics. Hopefully through all this, I was able to show that this is a ton of work, and it is definitely not worth this. I mean, even Punchmade said that this was like a bunch of work, right?
This might be a little hard, but it's hard being a worker.
And he didn't even get into the fact that you need to pick the right victim, and that you need to pick the right time, and that you need to have the right dollar amount. There's a lot that goes into this, and you may not get that much money. And there's so many points in this operation where you can get caught. I mean, it's just not worth it. Don't scam, you know? Like, all this just for you to get 24 months in prison and have to pay the money back? I mean, that's the type of time G Herbo is looking at right now. He was collecting 1.5 million in stolen credit cards and IDs, and then spending it on private jets and designer puppies and chefs and vacations, all because he did wire fraud. I mean, his situation is a true mess. I might do a video on that later. But as of this video, Punchmade has not been arrested. But I'd be willing to bet that he did something and the indictment's on the way. Now, YouTube removed the original video because they likely got a subpoena from the feds to take it down. And I just say this because you know they wouldn't have done it voluntarily. And if there's a subpoena, then that just means there's probable cause, which means they probably have proof that he is involved in wire fraud somewhere. I'm like 99% sure he's gonna get arrested one day. But until then, I present a question to you. Does this sound like it's worth it? Leave a comment down below and like this video. I'm trying to hear you guys' thoughts. Until next time, stay out of trouble.